Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today as always. It's a beautiful fall sunny day in St. Louis, Missouri today. Hope it's wonderful wherever you are in the world. And speaking of world, I miss traveling. I have not traveled much since, January of 2020, or maybe 2020, I think. I suppose I could travel, but I just don't want to have that thing stuck up my nose and go through all the hassle of whatever. But everyone else is doing it, so hey, maybe I'll take the step and start traveling again. I sure miss traveling. It expands your horizons. And the topic for today is this: should you expect your woman to support you in times of trouble? Now that's an interesting thought. I got that off of a thread I was reading this morning. And here's the deal. If you expect your woman to support you, you may be in for a disappointment or a little discouragement. If she supports you and encourages you when things are tough, that's a plus. But remember this, she's not your mama, so don't be leaning on her and crying to her if you lose your job. Don't come home and say, "Oh, honey, I don't know what I'm going to do. I lost my job." Definitely not the thing to do. You may feel like that, but you need to go tell that to your buddy or your mentor or your friends. You want to cry, cry to them. If you cry to them too long, they're going to tell you to get off your butt and do something. Your wife is going to feel insecure if you come home and do that. If you have been being the leader in your relationship as you should be with your wife, your girlfriend, your wife and kids, your family, whatever that happens to be, they don't need to see the fear you're feeling. Now, many people say you need to be transparent. You need to be vulnerable. Think about this, okay? If you believe that in this situation, think about this. You're 5 years old, right? You got a couple brothers, sisters maybe. You're home with your mom. Your dad comes home one day. He sits at the kitchen table and he starts crying. And your mom walks over to him and asks him, "What's wrong, honey?" "I lost my job and I don't know how we're going to make it. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep the house. I don't know if I'm going to be able to feed the kids. I just don't know what I'm going to do. That was a great job. I can never find another job like that." How do you think you're going to feel as a child? Your wife, your mom, your mom is going to be afraid. You're going to pick that up. All of a sudden, the person in the family who's supposed to be the rock, the mountain, the strongest, who you almost look to as a god, because when you're a child, you completely depend on your mother and father for your very life. At least you think you do anyway. In first world countries, there are other people that can fill that position, their programs and government programs, all those things. But in your mind as a child, you don't understand and know all this. So all of a sudden, you see the person who you think is going to take care of everything falling apart, doesn't know what he's going to do. So how do you feel about him as a child? You're afraid because all of a sudden this guy, this man who you thought had all the answers to everything, doesn't know what he's going to do. Yeah, think about that. Now, that's how you would see that as a child. Now, if you're a woman, once again, you're thinking basically the same thing of your man. Yeah, logically, you may realize that he's not God, of course, but you think he's always been able to handle everything, and now all of a sudden he's falling apart before your very eyes. This doesn't make you feel very secure as a woman because you have kids to take care of. You're staying home with the kids. You're being what they call a traditional wife, which I honor greatly, which I think is an admirable position in life. Doesn't get the credit that it deserves. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job. But what happens when a woman does that? Other women say to her, "Don't you work?" Yes, she's taking care of her kids. She has a career, the career of raising the next generation of our country, world, whatever, wherever you live at. What is more important than that? Should that be turned over to a minimum wage daycare worker who's been out snorting coke the night before or partying and sleeping around? who has no morals? Now, I'm not saying that all daycare workers have no morals. I'm just saying that that's what happens when you put your kid to be taken care of out into the workforce. Now, I understand some of you have no choice, but some of us do have a choice. We have a choice between having the 2 Escalades in the driveway of a 3-car garage and a $500,000 home and all this stuff we have in storage that we can't even use. We have a choice of that or raising our kids with our morals, our insights, the instruction we want them to have. We want them to pick up who we are, and hopefully we're setting a good example for that. But back to my original discussion, what I started out on. You as a man have to be the rock, the mountain in your family. You can't show those types of weaknesses. This transparency, yes, I think you need to be transparent with at least one person. You should have an accountability partner, a mentor, someone who knows everything about you, even those secrets you want to take to the grave, because these things free you up and they empower you and they help you when you run into situations like you lost your job or you lost the big contract or you're afraid because you don't know if you're going to be able to complete a job. I've felt all those things. There's been times when I'm going to work the next day. This job I'm doing right now is the biggest job my company's ever had. I started bidding on this job back in the spring. There were like 3 or 4 amendments. And even after I got the job, I was thinking, maybe before the job, I was thinking, I don't know if I want this job or not. Have I bid it enough to make good money on it? I wasn't sure. But I remembered another job that I did, where I was very unsure about, and I almost turned it over to someone else. And I ended up making bank on that job, okay? So I thought, well, maybe. So I got the job. Now, should I come home and tell my woman that I'm afraid, that I'm not sure that things will work out good? Am I going to lose my ass on this job? I'm worried about that. No, I don't need to tell her that. You know what I need to tell her? I need to tell her that, look, this is a great opportunity, because I thought that. That was my logical mind. My fear was telling me that you may lose your ass on this. You've never used this product. It's something completely different. You've never stained this type of Brazilian hardwood. Okay, I had a lot of fears, but we're doing the job. We're doing great. It's turning out great. We're making bank on this job too. More than the profit on this job is more than any other job I did probably since I started my company. But that's just it. You have to step out into your fears. And you don't need to be sharing your fears with your woman. You can't expect her to encourage you and to support you when you're afraid. You have mentors, you have friends to do that. You have a higher power, your God, or whatever you believe in. You can't lay these things on your woman. She is not emotionally strong enough to handle these things. She looks to you for that emotional strength. Contrary to what women or the feminine movement tries to tell us today, these strong, independent women who get divorced and then they want the man to take care of them. In some states, there's lifetime alimony. I don't quite understand that. To me, that's not congruent. You're a strong, independent woman, but when you separate from your husband, who was the big money earner in the family, he needs to support you. I don't quite understand the equality in that. But that too is a whole nother video, so we won't go there. But remember, you're the rock in your family. Your kids, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it happens to be, looks to you for strength and encouragement. You don't need to look to them for strength and encouragement. That's something you develop and allow to grow on its own through the help of people who have been where you are, but are, how do I say it? But they are now at where you want to go. Always hang around with people who are more successful, more accomplished in whatever your profession is or whatever you want to be. It's like when I used to shoot pool or when I used to box. Okay, I always liked playing pool against someone who was better than me because it brought out the best in me. When I box and you're getting your ass beat, I didn't like it, but I knew that I became a better fighter. The better fighter that I sparred with and worked out with, the better I became. So you only rise to the level of your competition. Okay, so remember that. Be strong. Be the man in your relationship. You have a feminine side, of course, but there's a time and a place for that, and it's not when things aren't going good to express that to your wife and your kids. So remember that. Hope that has been of value to you. Like and subscribe. Have a great day.